Hello, and thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Canadian Prairie. I'm Andrew Pritchard, meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. Over the next few days, we're going to watch a warming trend continue across the prairie with some colder air coming in here as we head into the weekend. Precipitation going to be quite dry across the prairie. Again, some chances for some heavier precipitation toward the east across parts of Manitoba, and then the same thing across parts of the higher elevations near the Alberta and British Columbia border. But as we focus in on the Canadian Prairie here, really looking dry over the next week or so. We've got a storm system sneaking through right now, bringing some cloud cover and some light precipitation to parts of the prairie right now. That can be found right here, the very bright cloud tops showing up here as we start the day off here on Wednesday morning. But notice the big swirl out here, the approaching storm system that is blasting coastal areas with some heavy rain right now. That's going to eventually trigger the development of a storm system here across parts of the central U.S. that's going to sneak through the northern plains and then perhaps bring some precipitation to parts of southeastern and eastern Manitoba into Ontario. I'll dive into that here in the forecast. I'm trying to explain it all with the satellite picture, but I just want to point out we do have this approaching storm system, but this is not going to bring much in the way of precipitation here. It's only going to end the warming trend, bringing some cooler temperatures in here over the next 4 to 5 days. Here's the storm system that moved through the prairie here over the last 24 to 48 hours. That's going to become a large coastal storm impacting parts of the northeastern U.S. with some very strong winds and heavy rain over the next 24 to 48 hours. Taking a look at the radar then across the prairie again, here's some of that light precipitation, the heaviest falling north of Saskatoon, continuing off into the north central portions of Manitoba. Some light rain showers possible through the day here across southern portions of Manitoba into southeastern Saskatchewan. That rain should be coming to an end here though over the next 12 to 24 hours. As we look at the snow depth here, we do continue to melt a fairly sturdy snowpack here from southern Manitoba into North Dakota, and that extends northward here into parts of near the Ontario and Manitoba border. We also have some snow here in the higher elevations here on the Canadian or the Alberta and British Columbia border. Once again, of course, with that snowpack across southern Manitoba into North Dakota, still a substantial amount of moisture within that, about 2 to 4 centimeters in some areas here worth of liquid precipitation that's going to have to continue to be melted down into the soil, so perhaps dealing with some localized flooding issues. And it does look like there's still quite a few people without power there. So things continue to recover after that major early winter storm across that area. But again, focusing on this area, looking at the snow depth forecast over the next few days, that snowpack should continue to melt with some warmer temperatures moving in and some sunshine. Again, making quick work of that snowpack as we head into the end of the week. Now here are the strong winds associated with that approaching trough. You can see it right here. That again with warm air advection in the leading edge of that trough, that's what's bringing the warmer temperatures we're enjoying here over the next few days across the prairie. We'll watch this wave move ashore. I'm going to go ahead and pause it, bringing it back here. We watch this thing come in through the Pacific Northwest and then emerge here over the central United States, watching a second wave come blasting in here behind it. This would be on Saturday afternoon. You see it digging in here, and now we see this well-defined trough swinging through. And that's going to, again, trigger a low-pressure system here near the surface. First, going to bring a warming trend to the prairie with cooler air coming in as we get to the back half of the weekend. You see the warmer temperatures there. Then as we hit Sunday and Monday, watching some cooler air come in on the backside. We'll talk about daily high temperatures here in a moment. But taking a look at the precipitation forecast, to watch this again, watching this first weak system slide through. We'll go ahead, we'll slow it down, watching this track through the area here, exiting as we head through into the day tomorrow. As we head through the day Thursday, watching a weak system track through northern portions of the prairie, sliding through here, bringing perhaps some light precipitation to the northern half of Alberta, Saskatchewan, into Manitoba. Watching this first area of low pressure, this is the first wave that moves ashore, develop here into an area of low pressure across parts of southern and central Manitoba on Saturday. That could bring some precipitation to eastern portions of the prairie. Likely going to be missing most of the prairie. It's just eastern Manitoba that could pick up some Saturday precipitation here. Some cooler air starts funneling in then from the north, and that's when we could see some light snow across parts of Alberta into northern Saskatchewan, but we see this very strong area of low pressure begin to develop here across the northern plains of the United States. This could bring some heavier precipitation perhaps to, again, southern Manitoba. You seem to be the hot spot here with these Colorado lows swinging to the northeast. This really puts southern Manitoba in the sweet spot, the hot spot for the more significant precipitation, while leaving the rest of the prairie here, southern Alberta, southern Saskatchewan, mostly dry here, just dealing with the cold air that comes in on the backside here. So let me take the drawings off. This is all the way into Monday and Tuesday, so of course plenty of time for this to change. It does look like maybe enough cold air coming in on the backside. We could see some at least minor snow accumulations here, likely again missing much of the prairie here in Manitoba. This is looking like a northeastern Manitoba type thing if we continue to see the forecast pan out like it is now. We see good consistency with another system, kind of another clipper-like system coming out of British Columbia in Alberta, swinging through the northern plains of the U.S. But this too looks to mostly miss the Canadian Prairie. So it's not as if we're in a quiet period here. It's a very active period, but it's a dry air mass across the prairie. And I love looking at the forecast precipitable water here because this shows it well. We've got this front moving through the U.S. right now. We've got deep moisture near the Gulf. Back here where you see the browns and the light greens, this is a very dry air mass, one that's not supportive of significant precipitation. We'll just play this out over the next couple of days. We watch this first system sneak through here Friday into Saturday, watching it draw some moisture northward here from the Gulf Coast, but again, really it's last minute as it begins to move off to the East Coast. Not seeing a lot of that. That's why we could see maybe some significant, or not significant, but maybe some more measurable precipitation across this area where we do get some moisture wrapping in over the top of that area of low pressure. You see it right there. This kicks out. We get dry air on the backside, and then the major system develops here Monday and Tuesday across the northern plains. We get plenty of moisture transport with this one coming out of the Gulf Coast as well, but once again, only really impacting southern and eastern portions of Manitoba here. This misses out on the remainder of the prairie here, where it just remains very dry. If I just kind of take this back to the beginning and play it out, again, you see it's active. We got lots of swirls, lots of storm systems there, but we're not drawing Gulf moisture northward into the prairie. We're kind of cutting it off along and south of this line, and as long as that continues, it's a dry pattern across much of the prairie, excluding eastern portions here of southern and eastern Manitoba. We'll play out the total accumulated forecast precipitation from the GFS model here, and I'm going to go ahead and stop it once we get to Tuesday of next week. But taking this out for a week, 6 days out here, again, you're seeing little, if any, precipitation falling across a big chunk of southern Alberta, southern Manitoba, or southern Saskatchewan, and then, yes, southern and eastern Manitoba. It's just the eastern half of Manitoba picking up the precipitation over the next week or so. If we're going to see any snow, I said some cold air coming in on the backside of that system here Sunday into Monday. Looking at the probability of seeing at least 3 inches of snow accumulate, that would be 7.5 centimeters. And again, we see this maybe really outside of the prairie area here. This is looking north of Winnipeg, looking up towards the Manitoba and Ontario border, where we see the higher probabilities of any accumulating snow right here. As we look at the rest of the prairie, very low probabilities here, likely not seeing any snow accumulate. Taking a closer look then at the next 5 days, taking it all the way through the weekend. So through 7 p.m. on Sunday, again, seeing it dry across the prairie. Precipitation mostly along and north of Highway 16 here, where we could pick up 10 to 20 millimeters of precipitation, maybe 3 to 6 centimeters of snow again, well north of Highway 16, the prairie likely staying dry over the next week. Looking at high temperatures, again, we're getting a warming trend right now, highs near 20 in the upper teens, certainly for the day on Wednesday. Overnight lows only dropping down to near 10 degrees tonight. Tomorrow afternoon, warming back into the middle teens before cooling off into the single digits Thursday night into Friday morning. Friday, high temperatures back in the lower teens, cooling off slightly, but not a sudden plunge back to sub-zero or sub-freezing temperatures. So good news there. It's a gentle cooling trend as we head into the end of the week, into the weekend. Precipitation then, looking at Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Again, southern Saskatchewan likely going to remain dry. Southern Manitoba likely going to remain mostly dry. And then as you head off to the northern half of Saskatchewan and Manitoba, that's where you could pick up patchy amounts of 10 to 30 millimeters of precipitation and some light snow here falling primarily over the next 24 to 48 hours. And again, this all north in northern half of Saskatchewan and Manitoba, talking about light snow unless you want to head well north to the northern borders of Saskatchewan and Manitoba, where perhaps north of 10 centimeters of snow is possible. High temperatures again, warm across southern Saskatchewan for the day today, reaching the upper teens across the prairie, cooler where we have snow on the ground, but still getting above freezing, doing some work melting that snow. Overnight lows do likely fall below freezing where we've got snow on the ground in southern Manitoba, but single digits elsewhere, near 10 degrees in southwestern Saskatchewan. Your highs for the day tomorrow, very similarly in the upper teens across southern Saskatchewan, trying to warm up here across southern Manitoba, but still struggling with that snowpack on the ground, but likely reaching the upper single digits to near 10 degrees at the very least. Cooling off into the single digits, not dropping below zero, then finally across the area. High temperatures for the day on Friday in the middle teens. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the evolution of the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Thursday morning ag forecast video, and then Friday morning, I'll be back with your next look at the Canadian Prairie. Have a great day and enjoy the warmth while we've got it.